Well, unless you've been sleeping under a rock, you know that Elon Musk turned on Trump recently. But what if I was to tell you that it had nothing to do, maybe, with the big, beautiful bill and more to do with the big, beautiful black eye that Elon Musk was sporting just a week ago in the Oval Office? Remember this?
No, I was just horsing around with Lil X, and I said, go ahead, punch me in the face, and he did. Turns out even a 5-year-old punching you in the face actually does.
That was X that did
Yeah.
X could do it. If you knew X,
I saw his mom right now. But I didn't really feel much at the time, and then I guess it bruises up. But I was just horsing around with the
I didn't notice.
President Trump and Elon Musk were writing clever memes together and creating merchandise hats. And today, they're breaking up. Hello, darkness, my old friend. But do we really believe what's going on? Since we know the media and much of government has been gaslighting us for 4 years. You be the judge of that one, but I figured there's no two better people on the planet to explain this debacle between the Doge father and President Trump than Vice President JD Vance and hysterical Theo Von, who explains in this short video that his friend was once fed spaghetti to by Elon Musk. True story. Watch.
I had high expectations. Okay.
We have you here. Elon just hit the airwaves today. Bring it up,
man.
Dude.
Oh, man.
The fucking shit missile is in the cannon.
Okay. Wow.
Elon Musk, time to drop the really big bomb, right? And I thought this was going to be on Iran.
So it's funny. I haven't even seen
right?
or anything at any time.
Okay. Before we get to this X post, it doesn't even sound like Elon's voice. I don't know. The whole thing sounds like a little weird. It's like, and have a nice day. There's the big bomb. They're like, you didn't drop the bomb in the Oval Office? Okay, you better drop the bomb now on X. I don't know. What do you think? Listen.
Elon Musk, time to drop the really big bomb, right? And I thought this was going to be on Iran.
So it's funny. I haven't even seen
right?
I haven't even seen this one.
But he goes, at real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Nice signature from a South African DJT.
Man. Well, just so your audience is aware, when is this going to air? Like tomorrow or 2 days from now?
45 minutes airing now, dude.
This is why JD Vance is such a good vice president. He just got this news, and watch how he's handling this.
Joking. I'm joking.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
no.
Presumably, when this comes out, people are going to know more about this than even I do, because
I just learned about this.
This kind of happened on the plane when I was coming on down here.
Look, this is new.
Here's my basic reaction to like all this stuff is look. First of all, absolutely not. Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong with Jeffrey Epstein. The guy is whatever the Democrats and the media says about him. That's totally BS. Here's my basic read on it. First of all, I'm the vice president to President Trump. My loyalties are always going to be with the president. And I think that Elon, he's an incredible entrepreneur. He's actually done, I think Doge was really good. This sort of effort to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in our country was really good. And look, man, I'm always going to be loyal to the president. And I hope that eventually Elon kind of comes back into the fold. Maybe that's not possible now because he's gone so nuclear.
Well,
but I hope it is, man.
Like his feelings are hurt. Why though? Do you know why?
Look, I think number one, Elon's new to politics, right? So his businesses are being attacked nonstop. They're literally like firebombing some of his cars. And by the way, we're looking into a lot of this stuff. Some of that stuff we're looking into is an act of terrorism at the Department of Justice, because I think it is an act of terrorism. So I think part of it is this guy got into politics and has suffered a lot for it. But I mean, and I get the frustration there, and I get the frustration that, I mean, look, Congress got this spending bill. But the main purpose of the bill is not actually spending or cutting spending, though it does cut a lot of spending. The main purpose of the bill is to prevent the biggest tax increase. But I understand, like, it's a good bill. It's not a perfect bill. Like the process in DC, if you're a business leader, you probably get frustrated with that process because it's more, bureaucratic. It's more slow moving.
Yeah.
So I think there's just some frustrations there. But I really, man, I think it's a huge mistake for him to go after the president like that. And I think that if he and the president are in some blood feud, most importantly, it's going to be bad for the country. But I don't think it's going to be good for Elon either.
But Elon, did Doge, first of all, my first thought was that it's a ruse, right? Because there's a lot of times where the media will put out a ruse or they'll use somebody like, I think the Diddy thing is a ruse. Hey, like diverse communities, stay busy with this shit while we move all these chess pieces, right? Sometimes that's what I feel like it is. And maybe I'm a pervert or whatever, sorry, or weird guy, sorry. But this has nothing to do with that. But I'm
not a pervert. Maybe you're a weird guy. You're not a pervert. I think you're a good dude.
I appreciate that, dude. But anyway, what I was saying was...
So that Diddy thing, man, is it true they found... Sorry.
No, go on.
But wait, this is my thing. What if it is all connected? What if it's all connected? This is where my conspiracy monkey mind goes down the rabbit hole. But really, conspiracies are conspiracy just because a lot of people don't understand them. And then they end up coming true and it's not a conspiracy anymore, right? JD made some really good points there. And I had thought of that as well. Elon Musk has gone through hell. And if you're not used to politics, it's pretty scary. I mean, life threats. I was thinking of that in many different press conferences when he said that his life had been threatened. It's like, not a lot of people can handle that and just be, okay with it, like Trump, I mean, that's why people hate him. And that's also why people love him, because he can handle these kind of threats that come at you. They want to destroy you. And so I can understand what JD Vance is saying, that Elon Musk just took a beating there and he doesn't understand that part of politics and how ugly it can be. And then he took another beating when he realized, oh my gosh, he's not getting the mandate that he wanted, even though he already knew that. But I think that there's still something bigger at play here that we don't know. He says, it's a huge mistake to go after Trump the way he did. And I agree with that. But I think Elon is a smarter businessman than that. So even if he just hated the big, beautiful bill and was like, I can't take it anymore, like his post dictated, and he's part of the Epstein thing. Even if this was all true, I feel like as a businessman, he would have been a little bit smarter and not gone this way. And that's why I feel not only was it a huge mistake, but I feel like it's a setup. But let's listen.
Into this, but I read somewhere that they found like bottles and bottles and bottles. Maybe you told me this. I don't know. Somebody told me bottles and bottles of like baby oil, but that had like drugs in it.
Bring that up. Was they doping up?
Is that real or is that just something I heard on the internet? Because sometimes you hear stuff on the internet that's not true.
Well,
most of it is. Most of the stuff you hear on the internet.
What defense would you have? Babies that are addicted to dirty oil?
But see, again, this sounds crazy. And that's how people who commit heinous crimes can do it right in front of you almost, because it sounds so ludicrous your mind can't get around it. And that's why I think maybe there's something bigger. There's always something bigger at play. If we really knew what was going on, people would lose their minds. It wouldn't be good. I had a friend once that worked for the Pentagon. She couldn't tell me anything. She served to protect the U.S. Pentagon. She's like, I really can't say anything. Just know that Americans are being protected 24/7, and you guys are lucky to have the ability to just live in ignorance, because ignorance is bliss. You would lose your mind if you knew what was going on all the time. And that's another reason I love JD Vance, because he's just calm, cool, and collected. And he does know about a lot of this. Of course, I love Theo because he's just hilarious. But this is crazy. Let's hear.
You don't need oil.
GHB
like I'm not
oil.
a doctor, but I don't think that's a normal ingredient in GHB. Anyway, sorry.
I don't know, dude. There's some babies these days that fucking want to get to the club, homie. But so do you think it was the bill? This is where it's happened. Something about the bill made him upset.
That's right. Again, I think he looked at the bill. He didn't like it. And I think it's a good bill. But again, there are things you can criticize about it. The president would be very open and say, this is not a perfect bill. But Donald Trump doesn't get to write the bills, right? Congress has to write the bills.
Okay.
And you got to work with them to try to get something that is as good as possible.
Okay.
Here's what I'll say about the bill. Number one, prevents the biggest tax increase in American history.
It prevents it?
Prevents it. Because taxes are going to go up on everybody in a really big way at the end of 2025, because the old tax law expires at the end of 2025. So you're going to hit a big tax increase. We're trying to prevent that from happening. We're also trying to do stuff. So you got a lot of people working long overtime hours in this economy. We inherited bad inflation from Joe Biden. No tax on overtime. No tax on tips, right? We're in Bob Ritchie. We're in Kid Rock's great restaurant. His servers would not have to pay taxes on the hard-earned tips that they get when they're busting their ass doing a good job. When working for Kid Rock, man, that's hard work, right? I think that it's a good bill and it does a lot of good for the American people. Look, Elon's entitled to his opinion. I'm not saying he has to agree with the bill or agree with everything that I'm saying. I just think it's a huge mistake for the world's wealthiest man. I think one of the most transformational entrepreneurs ever, that's Elon, to be at this war with the world's most powerful man, who I think is doing more to save the country than anybody. I mean, I'm 40 years old, anybody in my lifetime. Think about it. It's a guy who, not even a year ago, nearly took a bullet in the process of campaigning, went back on the horse the next day. And if you look, obviously I'm biased, but you look at what we've done on the border, you look at what we've done with trade, fighting back against a generation of theft of the American dream, which is what the president's trade policies are starting to do. I just think you got to have some respect for him and say, look, we don't have to agree on every issue. I'm talking about if you're Elon Musk, you don't have to agree with us on every issue, but is this war actually in the interest of the country? I don't think so. So hopefully Elon figures it out, comes back into the fold. I know the president, for a couple days, I'll tell you, just I don't want to reveal too many confidences, but was getting a little frustrated, feeling like some of the criticisms were unfair coming from Elon. But I think has been very restrained because the president doesn't think that he needs to be in a blood feud with Elon Musk. And I actually think if Elon chilled out a little bit, everything would be fine.
It would help. Well, Elon also tweeted that he thought that in the second half of this year that there would be the Trump tariffs will cause a recession in the second half of this year. Now, who knows what could cause a recession in the second half of this year? It could be a buildup of our entire just history of being alive. But he's saying this. So it seems like, and this is just me guessing, and I don't know Mr. Musk. I never met Mr. Musk. One time he fed my buddy spaghetti at a party, though, dude. My buddy, people were raging and shit. And
your buddy couldn't feed himself the spaghetti?
Well, my buddy said he offered my buddy some spaghetti, and my buddy said, "I'd like to have some." And then instead,
but only if you feed it to me.
But instead of getting him a plate of spaghetti, he made him some and put it in his mouth, dude.
Does your buddy know Frederick Douglass?
My buddy, I'll say this. My buddy actually is a friend of FDR. Or no.
That's a different.
Sorry, shit.
Frederick.
I don't know. God, dude.
Okay.
I'll fucking ruin this shit, dude. Fuck, dude. Civics, man. Chill out. No, but he said that he thinks but do you think that he just thinks that there's too many, that it's not a fair bill for the people? Do you think Elon Musk is for the people?
But see, here's the thing, is that it's just now coming to his senses about this. I mean, he's been intimate with the budget and what's going on with Doge and working with the bill. I get him not liking certain things, but this whole 180 of like, it's horrible, I can't take it anymore, I have to say it. And then going straight with the Epstein thing, it just, to me, seems a little too on the nose with the Hollywood writing. Seems a little too wag the dog, if you know that. Beautiful script by David Mamet. It just seems a little scripted to me. But what do you think? I
mean, I think that he's making a mistake in going after the president.
Okay.
Yeah, I think his heart is in the right place, man.
Okay.
I do. Like, I think he got into this for the right reasons. I think he's frustrated. I think he's an emotional guy. Honestly, I'm a very emotional guy.
Yeah.
Like it's the president is it's interesting because if you read the media reports, you wouldn't necessarily see this. He's not like quick to temper. He's not one of these guys who flies off the handle. That's a little bit more what I'm like, honestly.
Oh, he's
and
smooth.
I think he's smooth, man. He's stoic.
His
and
blood
I think
pressure's fucking 007, dude. That motherfucker is.
I don't know if that's good. But,
I mean, but
yeah, I get what you're saying.
But it is where it is.
But I think Elon means the best, but I think he's making a mistake.
Got it.
That's my view.
And JD handled that like a rock star, but it's almost as if he knows too the pressure that Elon's under, or he knows the threat. And that's why I loop back to maybe it being a psyops. What do you think? Why the sudden 180 with Elon? Do you think Elon got blackmailed by billionaires the minute he left the White House? Threatened? Did he crack under pressure from Diddy? Or did he just forget where he came from and forget what the MAGA movement is all about and the bigger picture of how to make America great again? Do you think Elon is for the people? Do you think that they'll be able to put this past behind them and Elon and Trump get back together? Let me know in the comments before Elon posts a breakup song or this plot twist gets even thicker and we realize that Elon's mad because Trump wouldn't have his 27th child or something. I don't know. Subscribe while you're at it if you haven't yet. If you believe this is a real shit show. But it's fun, and God bless America.